Tuesday, March 6, 2018, 7 p.m., calling the Fairview Municipal Tree Commission meeting to order. First, item 2 on the agenda is the roll call. Present, we have McCoy, Christie, Rainey, and Mike. Jane is out for this meeting. I think she's out of town. Item number 3, approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
We're out talking about new business. I'd like to add something to the new business. The park, Bowie Park, is wanting to do a bird sanctuary by planting some trees. And since this is on city property, I would like to propose that some of the money from the tree bank be used for planting of trees in Bowie Park for this bird sanctuary.
New business, is that what you said?
New business.
I'll just make that 6.1 under new business. Any other comments? Motion to approve.
Approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. I'm sorry, agenda approved. Item 4 on the agenda is the approval of minutes. This would be the minutes from the Tree Commission meeting on Monday, February the 12th of 2018.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote to approve. Aye. You have discussion?
I'm sorry, did you not hear me say, I'm sorry, aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Section 5, old business 5.1, Tree City Arbor Day celebration. Schedule of events, supplies, materials needed, event promotion and documentation, refreshments, expected attendance, etc.
I did speak with Nancy Jackson at Bowie on Saturday at the weed wrangle where we were out there pulling a privet. And she has nothing scheduled for that Friday or Saturday, but she says it would be better for them because of the staffing to have the celebration on the 28th, which is a Saturday. She's excited about it. I also sweetened the pot a little bit by saying that the trees that Grow Wild Incorporated is donating for the giveaway for the celebration, that any that are left over, the park can have.
And we also got a text from the city manager saying that it was good from 10 until noon to have it at the park at Bowie on the Saturday.
10 until noon?
Mm-hmm. But don't you think that's long enough?
I think that's 2 hours is great. Well, it'll be April 28th, is that?
Yeah, April 28th, Saturday, which works better, I think, for the public as well. They can, their kids aren't in school and people aren't at work.
That's a good idea.
What about promoting?
Does Bowie have a newsletter? Didn't you tell me that there was Scott, didn't you tell me there was some sort of? And could we put it on Fairview then and now?
Yeah, I think we can use all those avenues and maybe even send it into the paper to see if it would be something they would publish. The key thing, I think, is we're really talking about a one-pager pamphlet promoting and advertising what's going on in the times and schedule. So I think that's The meat of the discussion is outlining what, if we're going from 10 until noon, what are the exact things that are going to be happening between 10 and noon?
I came up with some ideas for that, and you
That's
guys are welcome to reject
perfect.
them as you so desire. I'll pass these around. I kind of started off with a budget and list of materials. I know that when last meeting I had said to Mr. Collins that we'd probably need about $250 for materials and supplies. This was a guess based on having to purchase cups and plates and napkins all the time for work. So I did pretty good. I estimated if we had 100 participants with 2 acorns each. The only thing that I really had no idea on was how much dirt we would need.
I've just been measuring dirt today, and I've learned how to measure dirt. I never thought I'd need to know such a thing. But if we put in the little red solo cups, wouldn't like 4 ounces of dirt be sufficient?
Absolutely, to get them started. And just to clarify, dirt is what's under your fingernails, soil is what you plant in.
Potting soil, look at me.
I know.
Go
I'm
me.
Dirt.
I'm going to sit here quietly, and those who know me and know that story, yes.
So I could also provide the soil, which is, I can bring in a 15-gallon pot of our potting mix.
Oh, okay.
Which is what you would want to germinate in. You're not going to just use topsoil to do this. So,
Right,
and
no.
it's lighter. No, you're right, the
potting.
potting mix. So, but it's a pine bark base, so it's a little lighter than what
Oh,
you'd
okay,
find in
great.
the bag. So I'll provide, let's see, the trees, acorns, and soil.
So, will that be enough, the 15 gallons?
Or close. I'll bring extra if I, you know.
And so we would have the raw materials, and then we would need to assemble these, right? We'd assemble those before people arrive?
Oh, I figured the people
kids-
would want to do it.
Oh, okay, so that becomes an activity. huh?
Right, I was
That would
thinking
be
it would
great.
be an
Let them-
activity to
I
I
plant
think that's what
them.
she's talking about.
Okay.
yes.
Right,
The
that's what I
kids,
was
yeah, the
thinking.
kids would plant their own.
Yeah, everybody would plant their own. That's why we would need spoons, cups, and the potting soil available. And then, of course, I came up with some prices from refreshments. This is just general prices off of this at Publix. Handy wipes, paper towels, and a couple gallons of water. $126
Not bad.
as a budget. It seems pretty reasonable to me. And then I just started coming up with a schedule of events because
Well,
this is by no means set in stone or anything. I was
I
just
like it.
starting to come
I
up
like
with something.
it. I appreciate
I was just starting to come up with
the
something.
efforts here, for sure.
my only question, would it be easier instead of doing lemonade and tea, just to do bottles of water?
I would.
Because then you've got ice and more cups and,
That's fine. We can just
do bottled
grab
water.
200 bottles or 100 bottles of water.
And then we need to get the ladies over there at the park.
About the same price, though.
About the, of
Right.
course, they're going to, they're all in on this, so, you know, they can really organize quite a bit. The tour of the trees, you have somebody planned for that? I would do it if I was available.
I didn't have any plan. I didn't know
Let
if we were.
Nancy,
If Nancy is interested
Yeah,
in doing
yeah, I
it,
think they
I
would,
mean,
yeah.
she'd be great. We'd love to have her do it.
That's
as-
right. I will volunteer if we can find nobody to do it. But if we have somebody who is
knows
closer to
things.
it, absolutely, yeah. And
well,
then-
they probably have a generic tour that they've done before to do that, and they know certain trees. And in fact, they may know where a northern red oak, which is what those.
Particularly good specimens of, yeah, you know.
And they can point it out, so.
So with that, then, we would need to talk with her to see, is that something she's open to doing? And maybe even she could say, here's the 7 stops we'll do. I have 7 trees in mind. And then I don't know if we would need, or Mike, you might need to give her some augmented information,
Yeah.
particulars about trees, I don't know.
Yeah, you know, when she was excited, everybody there was excited about it, especially since they didn't have anything scheduled. It was just perfect timing for them. But I told her that the details are coming. So this is what we're talking about here. These are the details. So I can get with her tomorrow and get that all worked out. And like I said, I can commit to the time and some of the legwork and providing the material of the plants and the soil and the acorns that week. I just can't, you know, probably by Wednesday I could probably have it over to her. And the good thing is, that's another reason why I'm excited about doing it at the park, is I've got somebody watching things.
Yes.
I can't, if we were doing it here at City Hall, that would be logistically a big
Impossible.
challenge, yeah.
So how many acorns do you have?
Oh, gosh. I don't know.
600 cubic
enough.
feet.
If you're gonna have 100 people show up, maybe. In fact, I gave a big bag, they may still have it, I gave a big bag to the park.
Well, I was thinking, would it be sensible to make it a Facebook event too? And have people kind of say who's coming, so we kind of know?
Yeah, easy
I would
enough.
love to do that, but I don't know how to make a Facebook event.
I do. But I wonder if we could have the city. Sissy, is that something that the city could do? Make it a Facebook event, and let's kind of see how many people would actually say they're coming, so we'll kind of know how many to. But we can make it an event, so people could respond and say they're coming and. Okay. Thank you.
Great.
And that way we can publicize it through all the other social media and tell people to go to the city website, the city Facebook page, and.
You know, talked to Terry back at the office about this, but maybe we can have some kind of description of what these trees are.
The ones they're planning.
The
That's
ones.
page 2 of my handout that I gave you.
Oh, there you go. Did you
Don't,
put northern?
don't mess with the nerd.
No. Did you put northern red on there?
I put things like some cypress tree because I didn't know what they were. So
this
so
is
I was
great.
just trying to think of like
Framing it
something
out, yeah.
framing it out so that we could have a handout so that they would know the care of the little solo cup tree that
that's
they're
great.
gonna get, that they're gonna be getting,
The-
and then also about the trees that they would be going on tour with. I thought it could be just a two-sided half-page handout.
I just got a truck in today of an oak that I did not have, which is, a lot of people think is odd, but I've got around 30 species of oaks, okay, because I'm just crazy about oaks. And one of the reasons I've got an oak that only gets about this tall. It's a shrub oak out of the south, okay, and it does great here, not a problem. And the reason that we're promoting more oaks, okay, is that it's the #1 food source for the Leptoptera family, which is the pretty butterflies and moths. 86% of our, and I know I mentioned this before, 86% of our birds are carnivorous. They eat meat. The meat is in the form of the larvae or worms or caterpillars, whatever, that's in these oaks. That's the #1 source. 640, I think, is a rough guesstimation of how many different species feed on it. And even the birds that do eat seed and berries, and they feed their young meat. So when we are talking about birding and providing food for birds, and we put a bird feeder out there with black oil seed in it, okay, that's great. That's a small fraction of the indigenous birds here. And if they are feeding they're young, they don't go to a bird feeder and then take that seed and drop it in the mouth of their young. It's got to be meat. So that's why oaks are, that's one of the reasons. I could get all this sent to you if you want to,
Yes.
you want to do that?
Yeah, as soon as we know what tree she's gonna be interested, what she's
Well-
gonna wanna do, because I'll just
Yeah.
populate it
The
with
tour-
the,
That's on the tour, but on the donation,
But on
on
the-
the trees that are given out
yes.
and the ones they're planting, those are
yes,
oaks.
Yes, and having that information on the care and keeping of your oak.
So
And the
just-
importance
great
to,
on the-
you know, what it contributes.
Exactly,
Right.
especially to the birds.
Ecology.
So you want us to just send them? I could
Yes,
get
I would
Terry to
love
send that
that.
over to you.
So will there be trees on the tour of what their, that will show them what their grown-up tree will look like?
That I don't know. I know that the northern red oak occurs in the park, but is it on that tour? It's not an uncommon species, so it's, you know, probably one close by.
Is there, could
I
you
could-
see if there's one
I'll
close
check,
to the
yeah.
natures?
If for some reason it's not, I will make sure that the picture is a northern red oak.
Well,
You're pretty
right,
close.
yeah.
That's a white oak there. So
I
you're
know
pretty
that's not the
close.
same,
You're pretty
but-
close. Quercus rubra, by the way.
Oh, yeah, if you tell me that, I'll type that in, but I'm not gonna try and say that.
We're gonna put that in there, because that,
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah, I
I'll
think
totally
Quercus
put
rubra.
the Latin
it's
in
fun
there
for
for
the
you.
kids to say. I like it.
Oh, they're beautiful. They look like pin oak. I mean, is it the same thing as a pin oak?
Is it the same thing as a pin oak?
I mean, it has the same, this one has the same shape of a pin oak.
You want me to get into what, the difference, really?
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to go home tonight?
No. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm answering the wrong question.
One big difference is that a lot of people don't like the pin oak because it keeps its leaves, it clings with the
Yes.
dead-looking, and they are dead, leaves through the winter. With northern red oak, it will not do that.
So they lose all their leaves.
They'll drop all their leaves, and it is a red oak, so it gets red fall color.
I think I have one of those in my backyard because I
you
have a
may have
tree back there that turns bright red in the fall.
You may have several. Don't say that too loud. Debbie will go and dig it up.
I have,
Look
my
towards-
yard is full of
It's
oak.
mated to another tree.
Oh, has it?
So this looks really good. This is wonderful.
You're
This,
busy.
this is what I thought we would be hashing out for the next hour, so this is miles ahead.
Well, we can still hash it out for the next hour. These were just some random thoughts that I threw together.
I think it sounds like if Mike's going to talk with Nancy to see, you know, about the trees and whether she would be interested in providing that tour and that'll, and then feed that back to us, we can include it, because then we can start working on, you know, a brochure or a one-pager. Are you a graphics person or no, like a graphics
I'm
brochure?
graphic-y enough.
Okay, so maybe you could put
I can-
into like a flashy thing that might be a one-pager that would go on Facebook, and then we've got the pamphlet or the handout, which might be a little more comprehensive, right? It's gonna have detail rather than just kind of a schedule of
Yes,
events.
I will, yes, I have a
Can I make
wonderful
a,
coworker.
can I make a
who-
request? Of course. Mike, when you talk to Nancy,
Uh-huh.
because I really think that it's still important that kids and everyone knows how the Bush started the park with the pines. And so could we make sure we include that in the historical part of the park?
Historical part of the
Well,
park.
about the Bush planting all the pines to save the,
So you're saying in the handout that we would give out, maybe include a page
A
that just
paragraph.
talks about
Yes.
what's unique about our park in Fairview and a
About the
little history. I
buoys.
think that's a great idea.
and how they started, how
We
they,
got it on the proclamation, right, for the, doesn't it say that on the proclamation about
but,
Dr. Bowie?
but the kids won't be taking that home. I mean, I think it's important that they
Oh, I
know
see what
that
you're
that
saying.
the
Yeah, it's something for them
Buoys-
as they're reading through
Yeah.
all the stuff, they can read a little bit about the park and
Because it was loblolly pines?
And she paid the kids a penny a pine to plant them.
I heard it was a nickel.
It was a penny. It was a penny. A penny a pine.
And on the materials list, the cups, are we talking, are those just like red Solo cups, or these special like plantable cups? What kind of cups are these?
These would just be plastic.
Like the
Red
red Solo
Solo
cups?
cups.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna
To,
get the
to, to pot up in? Is that what you're talking about?
That won't work?
No holes in it, they'll die.
Can't we poke holes in the bottom?
You want them to poke holes?
Well, no, I thought there could be an adult
Why don't we-
present.
Why don't we?
Because it would be no drain, right? Is that what?
Uh-huh.
Because that was the other thing I thought that we probably needed to put on this handout, was how much they needed to water this
Okay,
thing.
here's the thing. I gave them, for something like, just like this, a bunch of what we call liner pots.
Okay.
That we don't use anymore. And let me see if she's got, I know she's got them. No way she could have used them in the past few months. That would be, it's not the bright red, sure it's
It
fun.
doesn't
but-
matter.
But they are specifically made to grow trees in.
Okay.
How big are they?
How big are they?
About.
They could be the same size, they could be a quart size. I gave her a bunch of different ones, so, and the idea is also is that this is recycled materials, the whole sustainable idea. So, if we can utilize those, that's where tomorrow, I think I may even see if I can just meet Nancy over at the park and show her this, and then I can look at those, make sure she's got her acorns ready to go. And I may even invite her, and see, we're still gonna have one more meeting here before, and maybe.
Few weeks before,
and
yeah.
Maybe even invite her.
I think that'd be
for
great.
the
Yeah, I
next
think that'd be
meeting.
great.
Would it make sense, Mike, to look at the peat pots?
Money. You can do the peat pots, but
But if we get the little bitty ones,
they're great. And you talk about sustainable, that's very sustainable, because they biodegrade. You're gonna pay money for those.
well, I know. I mean, we found an outlet, I think, last year where we got them very cheap.
You wanna check on that?
I can check on that.
How much is very cheap?
I want to
We
say.
need 200 of them.
I want to say they were a nickel apiece. How much is that? Are you ciphering?
That's about what?
What size are
$10?
those?
They were big enough, that they were big enough for an acre to
need a-
fit in.
You need
For
almost
200?
like a quart size, okay, which they make those.
I don't have my phone.
Well, they weren't that size.
A nickel apiece is $10, so that's cheap, right?
For-
Don't get me to ciphering.
You need them to be that deep and that big around, which is, the Dixie cup, the red Dixie cup size, that's the size, but the drainage.
12 ounce.
Let me check.
Check.
What's your recollection, Mike, on prices for something like that? Whatever, I mean, if you were to guess.
For a peat pot like that?
Yeah, does a nickel sound about right, or you're like,
These
I
were
think they a
little.
little bit more.
These were
That-
little.
Yeah.
These were not the solo
These are
cup
big
size.
ones.
I mean, if they're a quarter apiece, no.
Probably gonna pay a little bit more than that on those.
Yeah, now you're looking at $50 for that at a quarter each.
Okay, and what size do we need?
Quart size.
And those you can actually just plant in the ground, is
Plant in
that
the
right?
ground.
Once they're ready to,
Yeah, the only drawback is that they do not hold up after they've been wet for a while, they do not hold
start to
up.
fall apart.
You gotta plant them. I mean, you can't let them sit, so. Why don't I talk with Nancy and see let's just get the logistics worked out with her, because she sounds, I mean, like I said, she was very excited about doing it. And it's kind of let her put her input in and say, well, this is what we would like to do. She does programs there,
Right.
okay? And this may be something that she's done before. I'm sure she has.
Probably.
And then let's see what she prefers to do. It may be one of those things that she may want these sitting around for a while. And then there, you're gonna have to have the plastic pot. See what she says about it. But I would still like to know, you can maybe get maybe 200?
It'd be probably 200 if we have 100 participants.
Let me just check with her, because
I'll let you know about the price,
yeah,
but ours were small.
let's not commit to it until we
Yeah.
check with her.
Well, right, but I'll just let you know about the price so you'll have that information.
And for things that do require cash transaction, what was our proposed funding? There's the stuff that I understand cookies and drinks and water and napkins and ice and handy.
refreshment part.
Yeah, I can donate all of that, all that stuff there that I know, and I can just say that's covered. So really, we're looking at maybe some specialty stuff for the stuff I don't really understand as well. These
Peat pots.
peat pots or sizing, or if it needs a plastic shell, or all of the things that go into that.
But in the tree bank, and that money in that fund supposed to cover this?
Tree planting.
It's tree planting, it's Arbor Day celebration. And I think that's one of the things it's really, set up to do.
So maybe for the plant material support material, that can be a tree fund, and then just the general
I
Make
think,
People Happy supplies, I don't mind donating. It's not, I'm gonna go out, I'll probably be the guy that would go out there and get it all anyhow and load it up and take it out, so
didn't Jane Woodall said she'd make the cookies?
I don't recall.
Let's go ahead. Since she's not here, let's go ahead.
Let's go ahead and volunteer her for
She kept talking about making cookies and wanting them to be tree-shaped. I can get 200 cookies from Publix, assorted little cookies for $31. It seems like a way easier deal to let Publix bake
Yeah.
them.
Well, I think we need to let Jane decide whether or not
But
she,
if
because
Jane
she
wants to-
volunteered, if she wanted to
To do
leave
it.
shape.
She wants to do tree cookies.
3 by 3, $17 on Amazon.
What size were those?
3 by 3.
3 high,
$60,
60 of them.
$17, 60 for 17.
Thank you.
No, perfect.
Thank you, Cece. We can send a recommendation up to the BOC about taking money out of the tree fund to pay for the cost of the Arbor Day celebration.
And just to be clear, we're doing all this, not just to celebrate Arbor Day, but we want to be Tree City, USA.
Correct.
Not a bad thing to mention to the BOC. When do we get the signs for that?
Oh, the recognition?
Yeah.
You apply, for the current year you apply, you have to go back to the prior year and provide all your budget and your documentation with our event date. So the soonest we would be able to officially file our application would be at the beginning of 2019. That would have document of all this and all of our budget stuff. And then I'm not sure how long it takes them to process it, but I think when I talked with him, he said if we had all of that in order, turned in, then we would be able to have that recognition by the next Arbor Day before. So if that's around April, those 90 days would be enough time for them to say, yep, you've got everything, this is great, here's your.
That'd be a great celebration.
And then that would be part of the next, we could unveil that and talk a little bit about it, so. And so the refreshments, those prices are all good. It's really the unknowns that, we've got that Amazon option. Maybe there's some other stuff that's sitting around that we could use. And so we just need to kind of figure out what's left after we assess that. What are we buying? And then that becomes the budget that we would ask for, I guess. And then we've got the schedule of events, and I guess if you're going to talk to Nancy, and she were to maybe give some input on that, and then if we get to the point where she's good with it, we're good with it.
Oh, please do. And I can even email that to you if you'd like me to.
That'd be great, yeah.
And then if you guys are talking, if you would give her my email address,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Sounds good. Any other discussion on that?
So we're gonna check with Jane first, because if Jane, and that's what Jane does, she does that kind of stuff. So she wants to make the leaf cookies, and I
Jane
say,
wants to make leaf leaf cookies. That just seems like something that would be very cumbersome, and I would hate to put
She-
that onto
oh.
somebody. But if that's her thing, then
Well,
I
she was,
definitely
she
want
was
her to do it.
yeah, she was volunteering, and I think we need to let her make that final decision rather than us deciding that it's something she doesn't want to do.
Of course.
I'll send her a text and tell her that she should be home making leaf cookies.
So just before we go to the next item, just to kind of have a recap of the action items as I think I understand them. Mike's going to meet with Nancy and kind of refine or make any adjustments to the schedule of events, get a better understanding if she's interested and could maybe design the tour of trees and that presentation. And if all of that's good, then he can just relay that information to us, and then you could incorporate it into starting to draft up what that there's, I guess, two documents that we're preparing. One is the kind of flyer that is the one pager that just talks about it and promotes the event, and the other is kind of the handout package, right, that we would give kids when they come to pick up their stuff, that gives them a little history on the park, tells them the care of what they're taking away with them, and maybe some exhibits tied to the tree tour. And then also, Mike can invite her if she would like to come to the next meeting. So with that, we'll go to the next item under old business, which is 5.2, landscape codes for planning and review update. Begin discussion regarding the summary document that Will Owen provided and historical information recorded by Jane. So we did get a great summary, and it's in the minutes. So when the minutes get posted online, they'll be available. That kind of just talk about it looks like going back to June of 1997 all the way through November 2014, how the tree planting and protection ordinance has morphed and transformed over the years, and hopefully gives us a better understanding of where it's at currently today. And we're interested in understanding that better because I think in our meeting last month, we talked about, A, the need for everybody to have clarity on it, and B, after that clarity, make some recommendations that could go over, I guess, to the Planning Commission for gaps or other pieces related to tree protection that we think might be missing or got dropped off, or maybe other communities are using that we think would be valuable in Fairview. And so there's several documents to review in that exercise of us to basically get to a point where, after we've kind of worked and massaged all the words and documents and paragraphs to what we would say is a recommendation document, to go forward to the Planning Commission. And to get there, we've got our history document and our current ordinance. We've also got references. I've got one subsection here printed out from Franklin City that talk about their tree protection and landscape ordinance that they're using. It's very well-written document, a very big document that I think probably has some overlap of what we've got now, and probably has some parts that we don't have now that are worth discussing and deciding if it would be appropriate as we have this opportunity now to roll it all forward. My thought when I read all that is it's a lot to read and a lot to discuss. And I think one of the ideas I had, maybe we have a special meeting to only cover that bit of homework and bring all of those documents. I can bring a laptop. We can connect it up on a big screen and probably spend 2 hours or more going through that history and making sure we all understand it and have the same, I guess, agree on what's in front of us, and then go through some of the Franklin and maybe Brentwood pieces and just start shaping it. I, with my laptop at the time, can actually start shaping that document as we discuss it, so that when we get done with that meeting, we actually have kind of a pro forma document that we can start the next process with to send up the chain. But I think it's just something that would be difficult for us to, all of us go home and read and then come home with what we can remember. It's just one of those things to get it all in front of us. So if that sounds reasonable to everybody, then maybe we can figure out what would be an acceptable date to come and do that.
Does Will have a deadline of his completion of the design review manual? Do you know
No, he does not. They are working on reformatting it right now into the format that they showed us at that last planning commission meeting. But anything that's not there or that is there is just being reformatted. So that's the first step. So making changes wouldn't come until later anyway. So there's not a deadline on that.
So if there's nothing on the agenda for April, could we just do that instead of our usual?
We would be finalizing,
Well, other than that, I mean, that shouldn't take 5 minutes to finalize the plans, I would think.
Probably would take 5 to 30 minutes, my guess.
Finalize the plans for the Arbor Day
I'm
celebration?
sure there's going to be things that we've discovered between now and then, but nothing that's rocket science. Pleasant discussion, but with details. And so we could do this, so let's, if we just said that plus other things were to take 30 minutes. Like I said, there's a couple of hours here of if we do it right, and is everybody going to be geared up and energized? I'm fine with it. Everybody else is. It's just going to be a versus, well, coming in on a Saturday at 11 a.m. after everybody's had their coffee
donuts.
and donuts. But I'm open either way. If there's schedule conflicts, if there's other needs, then we just need to figure out what would work for everybody.
Date for our next meeting.
April 3rd.
And we could perhaps maybe break it down into a couple of meetings. So maybe if we wanted to try to accommodate it in our regular meetings, maybe the first meeting, this one coming up in April, we spend an hour reviewing this history document, getting a grab on what we understand it has vanished over the years and what might need to be back. And then the next meeting, we look at proposed example ordinances that Franklin and Brentwood have, and then just combine those two and not bite it all off in one chunk in a nightly meeting. Does that sound reasonable? It might be easier, and we don't have to take an extra day at a time. So why don't we plan on including that on the new business as an agenda item as the in-depth review? And I'll bring a laptop and we can hook it up to the projector. And
Is there any way we can put them side by side and compare point by point? Thank you.
I hear voices.
Okay.
okay.
Is it possible for all of us to get a copy of that? Or?
Yes, do you
not-
have a
no,
copy?
No, not this. I mean, the one
No, the
from,
Oh,
Franklin.
yes,
Franklin.
yeah, I just went and pulled this little
okay.
snippet today. So what I can do is send the full document. I think the full document is,
You may just send the, do you want me to send it?
yeah, if you have the full document?
I have the link.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, if you could send the link, that would be great.
Oh, I would love to, yeah. That's what I was going, I said, so you
Yeah.
went and found it.
Well, yeah, I went and just looked at it online.
Is it under codes with the city of Franklin, or do you remember?
They have all their stuff. You can, literally, you can look up landscaping ordinance, and it comes up and tells you the section of their stuff.
But I mean, so if I search, go to the city of Franklin webpage, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
And then I could search landscaping documents, and this would,
Well, I'm gonna send you the link. How's
because
that
the
for a
way it
deal?
is.
It's
it-
at 5, and it's at 5.2 is where the landscaping stuff starts.
And that's, yes, that's where the title is, but I read through more of this document, and there's sections in other places that, that kind of reference and might be incorporated. So there's, not big, I mean, I don't remember, I don't know why I'm thinking this, maybe, is it, 1,000 pages? Does that sound right?
No,
Okay, I just remember there was a large volume of pages, and I was looking at this little section. So many of those will get trimmed off that won't even be stuff we need to.
okay, I'm going to forward this.
And did somebody earlier say there was a Brentwood?
There should be, I'm
So
sure that
maybe if we
Brentwood
could
is
also bring
equally as-
another city, that way we can do a side-by-side of theirs too and try to pick best of all.
Surely there's not 1,000 pages. Let me look. How's that for?
Code manual? Probably.
And it was a,
City ordinances, I'm sure
it
there's
was
1,000.
it was a comprehensive manual, and this was just one section in it, but.
And this was last amended on 3/28/17. Okay. Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
We
And,
can do it, we have got this.
and for the coming up meeting, the one in April, I think we probably only need the one screen because we're just going to look at the history. And it'll be the next meeting after that that we're bringing the history plus other people, how they do it.
Is it M. Berkeley?
Huh? What?
What's your email address?
To direct to me, put Grow Wild MB. That's 1 W.
Oh, there you are. Look, you popped up.
Put 2 W.
Don't put 2 W's, you
Don't
just
put
have one.
Grow Wild
Christie.
MB at AOL.com.
It popped up.
Did it really?
Yes. Christie, what is yours?
Slaughter.
I sent it to Jane too.
And so the action item is that we're sending out some of the documents to start thinking about as far as other cities, but we'll add it as an agenda item for new business on the next regularly scheduled meeting to go over the history document and spend some time yapping.
So that will actually take this off of old business.
I think so, because I think this was old business to begin our discussion of how are we going to attack it, and
Right.
then next
So, yeah,
month is
we-
our attack. And so, any other comments on the 5.2? So we are moving to section 6, new business, and we had an item added, which was Bowie Park, bird sanctuary, planting of trees, and Mike was going to talk a little bit about that.
They've got a group of kids that are coming in to plant trees for what they're calling a bird sanctuary. In other words, these would be trees that would be specifically for habitat, either for food or for nesting. And the area, they showed me the area this last Saturday of where they would like to do it, and I gave them recommendations of the species to use. It's not, they're gonna actually be planting those trees, these kids are. So, we're trying to keep things not too overwhelming. So it would be 3-gallon containers maximum, and about 20 plants. And the cost is around $30 per tree, so that's $600. And the discussion is that this is tree planting on city property, so it should come out of the tree bank. My request would be is that there's $600 set aside for tree planting, to purchase the trees, they'll do the planting. Purchase of the trees for this bird sanctuary area.
What's the date on that?
I can't
Yeah,
tell you,
good.
that's something I have to get from Nancy.
Is it a couple months out, or, I guess this could be brought up
I
at the
think
next
it's gonna
BOC
be
meeting.
sooner than that, okay, discussion, so. And that's because we have to ask the BOC for that money?
I believe that's true.
I believe so.
May
So,
not have it.
When is the next BOC meeting?
Next week.
So if that can be added to the agenda as an approval, here's what we'd like.
Let me talk with Nancy tomorrow,
Okay, well, it
I'll
needs to be
get the
quick.
details.
Email me.
okay?
I mean, if it's okay, I mean, y'all need to make a motion that once he sends it to me, we're gonna send it up. I mean, so,
Right.
I will motion to spend $600 on the plantings for the bird sanctuary trees by this youth group, of $600 out of the tree fund money.
Do you know the area where they did the work, removing the privet? Okay. Yeah, and that, whatever that road is called, that's, that, right by a creek. I don't know why they chose that area. Little triangle of a flood. Okay, I'll, let me get some more details about it, and I'll send it out.
I'll second the motion for the recommendation that we would spend that,
That goes into the park.
that will go into the park. And we need to have a vote. Vote for approval of that, aye.
Aye.
And the action item is, Mike is going to check on the date
Right.
and that information back to Debbie, who then has everything she needs to bring it up. in the
Put it on the
BSNA.
agenda.
Very good. Any other comments on item 6.1?
Other than knowing when it is, it would be kind of neat to go out there and maybe see.
Where are these kids? What, are they just local school kids? You're not sure?
No, it's almost like a AmeriCorps is my interpretation.
I wonder if it's a spring break type thing where kids come in and do it. I don't know.
Could be.
Like an activity.
I was all excited about the fact that they're getting kids to plant the trees out there, you know.
What's the date again? I know you, what's the date?
6.
No, I meant for the planting.
For the planting of the trees for the bird sanctuary, that's what I don't.
That's what you don't
That's the
know.
unknown.
See, I was hoping if I
I was
asked it
busy
again, you
pulling
would,
privet, so.
trying to make us jealous.
So unfortunately, I came to the board tonight not with enough information. But I'll find out tomorrow.
That takes us to item 7, staff review meeting update from Mike Berkeley.
The last meeting was all residential. As I said before, some of these are just reoccurring, and it could be, has nothing to do with tree planting. The one point that did come up is that there needs to be more information on the documents that I see during that meeting that shows the trees, and not just showing the trees located, you know, as a street tree, for instance, showing that on the design, but what those species are. And so the city planner, several people on that during that meeting said, yes, there needs to be more information. So Kristen, the city planner, is going to start requiring more of that information on those documents. Which, my understanding is, when a developer goes into the codes and looks at what he has to provide, it's there already. So, but other than that, there was anything new.
The system is working better? You think the system is better?
Yeah, and just to recap, this was the first meeting where, make sure I get all this right, this is the first meeting where the developers are not involved, the designs are, the plans are. So there is a formal agenda that we will follow and look at these individual plans with everybody involved, from Public Works to the city engineer, fire department, police department. We all get together and we look at these plans. And then any changes or concerns that we may have, we will put it in writing and send it back to the city planner. Then the system is supposed to, on the next month, we start receiving the plans either via email or hard copies. And with me, because I'm right around the corner, I'm going to be coming to City Hall to pick up hard copies and review those. So what's going to happen, if I understand this with Scott Collins, is that before we even get here for the staff review meeting, we will already have reviewed some plans. So we come and say, okay, here's number 3 on the agenda, a new development. Here's my concerns. There's nothing on that document about the species of trees, or the no location is not right. And then the developer or the whoever is making those changes before they get to the staff review meeting. I think it's a great idea, so that by the time it gets to the planning commission, it's clean. This is the system that the city manager has mentioned way back, and it's just taken some time to start working it. And I think this last staff review meeting was a trial run. See how can we do this without the developers, the builders being here? Yeah, absolutely.
I know one of the things they discussed also, that if you made changes, that those changes might very well impact other portions of that development, and they would have to make changes to adapt to the changes they had to make to begin with, so they would come back. And then you would check to make sure all those had been done properly. And then if they have to go back a third time, they're going to charge them, the developer,
Charge the
a
developer?
fee.
Yeah.
Because if it's gone back twice and
think
you're having to
that's-
come back the third time, I think that was the original
I think that's
plan.
a great idea.
Us, or staff stuff, and then make us do all the developing on it,
Right.
so.
I like it. I think we just need to get into the routine. This is new. This is big time new ground for all of us. So I think it's for the city. It's great. That's all I have.
Item number 8 on the agenda, update on tree bank funds. Christie.
I do apologize, I wasn't able to talk to the city finance director, so I do not have an update as of today, but I would assume that it would be the $101,081 less $640. Last month, it was $101,081.73. And then the $640 for the city hall trees had been approved to come out of this fund.
Oh, that's right.
So,
Which, by the way, just an update on that, it should happen next week.
oh, okay.
Section 9, citizens' comments. Oh, nice. Yeah,
Nice.
that would be
Thank you.
great. Thank you.
in this loop, in this communication, or the Friends group? That'd be great.
Right.
That's right. Okay, well, that's anything would be helpful, so that's great.
Kathy, do y'all have a big celebration going on for Earth Day? Yes. Gonna be at the park? Yeah.
And that takes us to our adjournment. I should see that our next regular tree commission meeting is Tuesday, April 3rd, 2018 at 7 p.m. here at City Hall. And with that, I would adjourn the meeting at, looks like 7:54 p.m. And that's it.